Hi, I'm Greg Howlett, and I want to talk to you today about something that I haven't talked about before, and that is the relationship between harmony and the melody. Now, I've spent a lot of time on reharmonization, telling you how to come up with a chord progression that'll work, but I haven't talked much about the melody and the relationship of that with the melody. What I'm going to talk about today is a little bit advanced, but stick with me, and hopefully you'll get some good things from it. To demonstrate, I'm going to use a song that I played last week. I performed last week, and I just want to go through the introduction. Now, the introduction, of course, is I made it up, so the melody was I could do anything I wanted with the melody. So I came up with something. I want to play it for you real quick. I'm ready for the song. Now, I want to talk through how I came up with that. First of all, let's go through the chord progression. Now, I don't work like everybody else does, and I'm not saying my way is the right way, but very often when I do something like I just did, I come up with a progression that I like first and then find a melody that works on top of it. Now, that may be backwards for some people, but let me give you the progression really quick that I came up with. I'm starting with an E flat. By the way, I'm in the key of E flat, so I'm starting with a 1 major 7 chord. That's an E flat major 7 chord in second inversion. So I would notate that as E flat major 7 over B flat. Then I'm going to step down a step from B flat down to A flat. Remember, the step occurs from the bass, the lowest note you play, which is the B flat. So it's a second inversion E flat chord. So we're really looking at the step between B flat and we're stepping down to A flat major 7. We're stepping down another half step to G minor 7. Another half step to F sharp diminished 7. Another half step down to F minor 7. And from there we can go to the 5 chord. So it would be 1 major 7 over 5, 4 major 7, 3 minor 7, sharp 2 diminished 7, 2, and then 5. Of course, y'all recognize that 2, 5 is a progression that is very, very important. But up to that point, we're just stepping. Okay, now that's the progression. Let's talk about the melody that I put on top of it. Understand something first. This is something that many of us have been taught, this idea that when you've come up with the melody, you need to use melody notes that fit in the chord. For example, if you're playing an E flat chord, many of us have been taught that we need to play a melody note that's either an E flat or a G or a B flat. Now that works, but the reality is if you hold yourself to that rule, you're really limiting what you can do with the melody, because the more interesting and the better sounds come when you use other notes outside of the triad. Now, I just played an E flat major 7, so that's 4 notes. E flat, G, B flat, and D. Any of those notes would work as melody notes. But in addition to that, there's other notes that work as well. And the 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths come to mind right away. And I want to use those notes. So I'm consciously deciding that I'm going to come up with a melody that doesn't use the common notes in the chords. I'm going to use what we call the extended notes in the chords, 9ths, 11ths, 13ths, or maybe 7ths. So what I'm going to do in this song is when I'm playing an E flat major 7, I'm actually going to play a melody note that's F. Now F doesn't fit within E flat major 7 if you have just the basic notes, but it's the 9th of that chord. And it's a good sound. Hear it? It's a more complex sound than just playing. Okay? That would be common. That would be moving off of the normal notes to an extended note. So, okay, and then I just played a little riff that starts and ends on F. Now, I'm moving down to the A flat major 7 here. And I'm going to stay on F. And the reason why is because F is the 13th of an A flat major 7 chord. And it's a nice sound. Now I'm moving to G minor 7 and I go up to C. I'm playing a C as a melody note. Now C is the 11th of a G minor 7 chord. Hear that? Really nice sound. Now I'm going to F sharp diminished, and I'm actually going to play notes here that I need to elaborate on in another video at some point. But I'm going to play color notes on the diminished chord as well. The color notes on the diminished chord are the notes that are half step underneath 1, 3, 5, and 7. In this case I have F sharp, A, C, and E flat. That's your diminished chord. So I'm actually going to play a riff that uses F, A flat, D, and B. Okay? So those notes are the color notes. So that's why I'm going to play a riff using D and F. Okay, I'll talk about that more at another point. Now I'm going to F minor 7, and I'm going back to that 11th in the melody note, which is the B flat. B flat is the 11th of a F minor chord, F minor 7th chord. I love that sound. I love using the 11th on a minor 7th chord. So I'm using that again. Now, at this point I'm going to do something that is just a cadence, not a cadence, a credenza or something like that. You see it in romantic music. And it doesn't really matter what you play. You could do just an E flat scale. We're in the key of E flat. And for those of you that know modes, if you're playing, in this case I'm playing an F minor 7th chord, which is the 2 chord. And in modes, when you're thinking in terms of modal music, you can play a Dorian scale over top of that chord, which is just essentially the scale that you're playing in, key of E flat. So what I'm saying is you can play any notes you want as long as they're in the E flat chord, and they'll sound great. You can play a scale, you can play an arpeggio, but if in my case I like to just mix it up and play whatever. It reminds me, I think of Lieberstrom, Liszt. It has that kind of thing going on in it. So that's all I do, and then I come down and I play this chord. This is the 5 chord, and I'm playing a G as a melody note. Now, the reason I use a G is because G is the 13th of that chord, and I'm playing a flat 9 as well. But a B flat chord against a G as a melody note gives you a very good sound, because G is, of course, the 13th. So that's sort of how I went about it. I consciously made an effort to come up with melody that used the extended notes of the chord progression I was playing. It takes some time to learn to do this, but the results are worth it. You'll have a sound that's a little bit more sophisticated. Here it is again, and then we'll be done. Hope you enjoyed that and can take something away from it.